Dr. Jay Hitson. I'm the founder of GoodDoctors.Health, and I am so excited to be talking to you today. We are talking about one of my favorite things, and that is the conversation of aging. There is such a narrative around getting older, and people don't even catch how they speak about, oh, we're just getting older. They go to the doctor and, what do you expect? You're getting older, and you get these aches and these pains and all of that, and we just account all of this negativity towards aging. And I just really, this is one of the things I love talking about: aging on our terms. It doesn't have to be that way. And let me tell you, I spent many, many, many years in regenerative medicine. Those of you who aren't familiar with regenerative medicine or that term, think stem cells. When you see what's going on, what's happening in science, what's happening in technology, what we have access to now, I mean, longevity, vitality, these are not good, these are going to be standards. It is, and this isn't science fiction, this isn't the future, this is now. This is all possible. Having incredible stamina and mental clarity and physical strength, all of this, it's available now, not just when we're young, but well into our 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond. It does take some pre-planning, though. It doesn't happen by accident. And when we talk about aging, and especially because, okay, managing to stay alive longer, let's just be straight, that's modern medicine's been doing a pretty good job of keeping people alive. But here's the thing: is like, and that's longevity, staying, reaching into those 80s, those 90s, the centenarians, the hundreds. Here's the thing: but vitality, youthfulness, having that life force within you well into those years, that's the goal. Like, I don't want to be 98 years old, hooked up to a bunch of tubes, sitting there watching the boob tube for hours on end. That's no way to live. Or like sitting in some hospital bed in constant pain, just agonizing. That's no way to live. What I'm talking about is true vitality. And here's one of the big factors. The thing I like to talk about the most, and I hope a lot of you who are working with me right now, and those of you who are members, and you're getting on our office hours, and here, there's a conversation. There's a conversation I really want to be having. And I want a conversation about, okay, yeah, we're achieving our health, we're getting healthier, we're doing that, but what are you going to do with it? What kind of difference are you here to make? What kind of legacy do you want to leave? The reason why I care so much about health is because health is really the foundation of that conversation. It is really hard to be serving your community, to be serving your family, to be doing all of these amazing things if you don't feel good, if you got no energy, if you're sick all the time, if you hurt. That's why I care so much about health, because it is the cornerstone to the difference that you want to be making. And this is something that I have cared about for a really long time. I'm going to tell you a quick story. So I grew up Catholic, going to a Catholic grade school, and you went to mass every single day of the week. Well, during the school week. So we went to mass. We were going to mass, 6 days a week. And one of the really bizarre things that would happen because our school was right there next to the church, and if there was a funeral for somebody who they didn't think that there was going to be a lot of people at the funeral, they would make all of us, like middle school age kids, sit in the funeral. And to be honest, I don't think that was the most respectful thing. A whole bunch of squirmy 10 and 11-year-olds, at these funerals. But there was a moment, one of the times whenever I heard one of the teachers talking about, they're like, there was a funeral that we weren't going to be going to. And they said, and the teachers said, yeah, we don't need the kids. This is somebody who lived a life well lived. And there was going to be too many people, and they didn't need to fill the seats. And that has always stuck with me. There's these exercises when you go to a lot of these different, business seminars and self-help things and everything, where you go through and you write backwards from what you wish your eulogy, how would you write your eulogy? And they go backwards. What kind of legacy, what kind of impact do we want to be making? Okay. And because we are going to be able to live longer and longer. So you have the opportunity to make the kind of difference that we used to not be able to. You just didn't have the time to do it. And there's been so many people over the years who have just inspired me to in what they've done with their lives. Of course, you have the people, who make news, the Nelson Mandelas and the Gandhis and the Jimmy Carters of the world. But then you have these sweet, amazing little old ladies. Her name was Adele. I met her whenever I was in my early 20s. And Adele came into my office, and with these just gnarled up hands. I mean, it was one of the worst cases of arthritis I've ever seen. And, and Adele sat across from me, and she's like, I need help. And I'm like, yeah. I mean, her hands, they look I hurt looking at them. And she told me about how she's like, I need to be able to get my hands to work because I crochet hats for the little preemies that are being born at the hospital, that when they don't think that they're going to make it. I crochet these hats, and I bless these little hats, these little and I need to keep making my hats. And I remember sitting across from her, like, just dumbfounded. And I'm like, you know what, Adele, I don't know what I can do, but you're going to get everything I got so that you can keep doing this. I mean, when you think about that, I mean, her, that's the legacy that she wanted to leave. And that's so beautiful. And we all need that legacy. But again, without her hands, she wasn't able to do what she needed to do. And so many of us, we want to be that legacy for our family. We want to be that legacy for our children and our grandchildren and the people in our community. And I get asked this question all the time. you know, what do I need to do, for my kids or my grandkids? I don't want them to have the problems that I'm having right now. What do I do for them? What do I say? How do I help them? And while that's something I love to talk about, it's a great question. The real answer is change you first. Change you first. Be the testimony. Again, I'm talking about aging. So, I mean, how inspiring are you when you're the grandma who's over there, doing push-ups? Okay. I mean, how inspiring is it when, you're the grandpa who is doing selfies from the top of the hill from that incredible hike, and just showing and demonstrating this love for life and vitality, and this youthfulness. That's what's so inspiring to our children and to our grandchildren. Whenever we had a family member we had this family member who was he loved to evangelize. He loved to, like, tell everybody about his faith, and you come to me to church, and he was always trying to do that. But then the way he, like, talked to his wife, the way he talked to his children, let me just tell you, was less than inspiring, and it really hurt his overall testimony. When we're talking about, getting healthy and doing the right things, and living a great life well into our years, and we're talking about being, doing the right things for our kids and our grandkids, you want to be that testimony. You just want to be that living example. You want to be the one who's just, running circles around. everyone else. You're the one who's like, let's keep going on vacation. You want to be that person, and you can. Okay, I'm going to tell you, I've I've seen this at every age and just about every disadvantage. There's always a way to reach a next level of youthfulness and vitality and optimism and again, influence, influence over the people that you love, and influence for for your community. It is, and this doesn't always have to be, like I said, I'm a mother, so I always kind of think from the standpoint of of having my children and all that. But I'm going to tell you, I mean, I've met some amazing people who are just who have just really been such pivotal pivotal points in their communities and what they've been able to do. And here's why I bring this up, especially with aging. When you're younger and you're working your career, you've got the family, your life is so intense and so busy. It's hard. It's hard to have what you need, the time, the energy, the resources to be the difference. But I'm going to tell you, man, is it what for those of you who still have young children at home, let me just tell you, this whole empty nest thing is amazing. It is incredible how much time you have and how many more resources you have. I mean, I love my children, but wow, they've been expensive. And you just all of a sudden you don't have these siphons on your finances, and you have stability. And I don't have to build the house anymore. I don't have, I don't have to take all of that time. It's incredible how much more time we have to do amazing things. And let me just tell you, those of you again who are part of the membership, this is the conversation I want to be having more and more and more. Now we're going to get into some very specific tips on aging. I'm going to get into that, I promise. But I don't want to just keep having these 5 quick tips on how to look younger. Oh, that's fine. It's fine. I'm all for. I get that there's I want to start having these real conversations, these very deep, real conversations, deeper than which magnesium is the right one for me. There is an answer, but those are simple. Those are simple questions. Those are simple chemistry questions that can be answered very, very quickly. And there's thousands and thousands of people out there who are all answering those kind of questions, especially those in the membership. We want to start really, what are we going to do with this health? What are we going to do? And how are we going to be making more and more of a difference? Because that's what this is all about, is creating this very centric community of individuals who not only just want to be healthy, but they want it. They want their lives to really matter. So, all right, all right. Looks like all right, good. We are back. That was a long buffer. Fantastic. So for those of you who, especially part of the membership, you guys are amazing. I mean, I'm going to tell you, and anyone who's not part of the membership, you have to get your panels done first to make sure that this is your we can work with you. What you have going on is something that we can work with. But man, I am just so enjoying, so enjoying being able to work with you guys on such a consistent basis, week in and week out, and address your questions and your concerns, and just help you just keep reaching higher and higher levels of health. So, with all of that said, let's talk about what we need to do. And here's the key things. Okay, step number one, please stop comparing where you are now to where you were 20 years ago. Please, that comparing you now, let's say you in your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, comparing where you're at now to where you were in your 20s, that is only defeating. You're not the same person. And literally, you are not the same person. The amount of cellular turnover that you've had in these last decades, you don't have a single cell, just about. Well, that's not quite true, but you have virtually not a cell that is the same as what it was 20 years ago. You need to learn the new you. And just So we get really frustrated, and I'm not I'm not criticizing. I'm speaking from my own. I get really frustrated, like, well, why am I so sore? Why why can't I lift the things that I used to be able to lift? Why can't I go as long? And we just kind of rail against the aging process instead of like really empathizing and learning what our body needs at this new era. And it's incredible when you stop doing that, how you start to find these incredible, amazing solutions. All right. So, number one, if you keep wishing you were who you used to be, that's just not going to work. Stop that mentality right now. When you catch yourself doing it, just recalibrate. Um, the next big thing this week, there's a lot of things with regards to aging well, but the next big thing is strength training. You've got to keep up with your muscle. You've got to keep your strength up. You have got to focus on, you have to focus, I mean, just something really simple, being able to lift your own body. It's so simple, but like if you're on the floor, you need to be able to get up off of the floor, and that takes strength because we weigh a little bit more than we used to. And I am just going to encourage you, the women especially. Now, men are usually a little bit better about this, but the women who keep up with like body weight exercises, variations of push-ups and variations of triceps dips and pull-ups and squats and lunges, and those who keep up with that kind, I'm going to tell you, first of all, your labs are gorgeous. You know it. I tell you about it all the time. I'm like going through, we're looking at your creatine kinase. It's fantastic. Your blood glucose is amazing, and you always have great energy. Your energy levels are so much higher than all of your friends and all of those people around you. And that's one of the things that I love. It's such an obvious thing, but we have to do it. And in most of this, you can do it at home. You do not need equipment. Body weight exercises are using your own body weight. Again, you have to kind of modify it. I'm not asking you to be a Navy SEAL and being able to do 1,000 pull ups necessarily, but doing modifications of these things. I'm going to tell you, it's incredible what it does, not only for your body, for your health, for your joints, for your metabolism, for everything, but also just for your like your confidence. Because whenever you know how old you feel whenever you're like, you're sitting in a chair that's too low and you can't get out of it, like that it makes you feel ancient. So body weight, strength training, it's so integral to aging well. Now the key thing is though, it's the aches and pains, right? The number one reason why people tell me that they don't do this is like, I've got, these different joints that hurt, I've got old injuries. Right now I'm filming this, it's the dead of winter. And I have been hearing over and over and over again, I do great during the summertime, but during the winter, well, we need to have a routine that works all year long because guess what? Winter's going to come again next year and the year after that. So let's just create the plan now because it's going to happen again. All right. This is not going to this is going to be an ongoing problem. All right. So you have to figure out your winter routine. With regards to those aches and pains, I got a few things I want to share with you because I've been really experimenting with this hard. I love being my own science experiment, and then of course, working with you guys, I'm seeing it time and time again. So here's a few of the really cool things that have been working. Number one is I have been so impressed with having adequate protein and how much less my body hurts and how much less aches and pains you guys are talking about, how you don't have as much. Um, and especially with regards to, okay, you start doing these exercises, you start doing, okay, I'm gonna do it. Okay, I'm gonna get strong. I am gonna be my own powerhouse. Fueling before and fueling after. I've not been good about this. I've heard about it, and like I always thought that was for like, okay, those bodybuilders, those people who are just, muscle bound and everything. I know that they do pre-workout, post-workout, that kind of thing. I just felt like, I don't know, I just felt like, okay, I'm not quite that there. But especially now, right now I'm doing marathon training, and what a huge difference in muscle pain when I do some protein and fueling before. Not, it's not huge, just some before a really good workout, and then making sure I fuel afterwards. Now, I know a lot of us are also trying to, drop weight and all that. So, being conscientious that you're not doing the, 1200 calorie protein shake or, protein meal, but just, getting, the different protein powders or, again, just using, good whole foods, chicken, steak, getting those things out. But the before and after, wow, wow, wow. I cannot get over how I'm waking up and I'm not sore. And that's like after running like 7 miles. I mean, that's, which I mean, some of you may be amazing and you're running 20 miles at a time. God bless you. 7 miles is a good solid distance run, and I am just really really impressed with what's happening there. Another one that's working really great is I've been supplementing with some of these amino acids. I didn't need that when I was younger. Didn't make any difference. I didn't see anything with, but these amino acids, and again, those of you who are part of my, who are working with me, I'll show you the one I've been using. I'm still working on the one, finding my favorite flavor. The I'm not the flavor I bought last time. Ugh, but I'm gonna eat it anyway because man, I feel so good. And especially with amino acids, here's what I love about the amino acid that I've not experienced before is I'm not sore in the mornings. So a lot of times, especially this is something I've noticed as I've aged. I've talked to a lot of you. Like we don't necessarily hurt right away. It's like the next day is when we're really feeling it. And I'll be honest, I kind of thought that was just like one of those things that you just had to kind of get used to with your age, but man, it's not true. These amino acids are doing wonders. I did it yesterday, and I mean, I just like got so real quick, my husband makes fun of me because like the first thing in the morning, he like he makes fun of me for shuffling. And it's just it's because I'm so stiff and all of that or whatnot. And so he goes my old lady shuffle. It's not nice. I don't think it's very funny first thing in the morning. But anyway, this morning got up, no old lady shuffle, just immediately going. So I've been super, super, super happy with what amino acids and how quickly they're working. So I just want to share that with you guys that I'm super impressed what's going on there and really experimenting a lot with that. And then magnesium, most of you know about magnesium already, but man, magnesium, again, upping some of the magnesium, especially as I'm starting to do more of the strength training and all that. Because one of the big things, like a lot of us don't like doing the strength training because we don't always like the way we feel afterwards, okay, or whatnot, or you just, but yeah, whenever you can have like you just you just get that extra boost of energy, which by the way, glucose, especially those of you struggling with blood glucose, um, which it's the first thing on our panel that we test. When your blood glucose is consistently elevated, when you're building this muscle mass, it's incredible what happens to your energy levels because that those muscles, they become sponges for that blood glucose, and glucose in your blood is toxic. Glucose in your muscles, pure raw energy. So oh, great question with regards to magnesium spray. I've tried it. Now, I haven't gone back to the magnesium sprays just yet. I'm just taking it. Now, specifically, I'm using magnesium glycinate because that's a little bit better for muscles, especially mine. You have to experiment with this a bit, okay? But I am a huge fan of the magnesium sprays. I just don't quite get the same level of relief. And the amino acid brand, oh my goodness. I'm gonna have to, it's in a blue canister. It looks like it's in a blue canister. I want to say it's Life Extensions, but please let me check and I will, Aaliyah, I'll make sure, I'll send it out to you guys on the membership, which one I'm having the best success with. So thank you so much for asking. And please do, if I don't, remind me. I am really happy. Which, by the way, just a quick side note, Annette Reader is the one, the biblical nutritionist. She's the one who got me on this particular amino acid. And, she does a lot of that cycling and, long distance cycling. And I'm going to tell you, she was telling me about it. Wow. Wow. Isn't it wonderful to have great friends who are doing incredible things and they just keep telling you about these awesome products? So, so that again, big thanks to Annette Reader, the biblical nutritionist. Um, so yeah, the amino acids, the magnesium are some of the big ones. Now, here's one more. Here's one more I want to give to you guys. Okay, aging. We're aging well. We're going to do it on our own terms. A lot of us we didn't have to stretch. That is something that we didn't always have to do. Okay, we need to stretch. You need to stretch, and we need to learn how to stretch. Some of you who have old injuries, okay, it's worth going to a therapist who really understands injuries to learn very specific stretches for you. It is so worth the investment. And then you can just do those. Some of you, the rest of us, we can kind of pick and choose. But I'm going to tell you, stretching is like it's like another life force. Um, oh wait, let me real quick. Let me Oh yeah. Can being overweight age you? Yes. Yes. So those of us who are carrying too much body weight, it just wears and tears at our joints because I mean just that pressure. There's so much extra inflammation that comes with extra body fat. There's so many negative health risks. So maintaining a great healthy body weight, huge to longevity, huge to vitality. I mean, let's be straight. Like when you look at the 90-year-olds and the 100-year-olds who make it to those ages, they're not overweight. They just aren't. A big factor to longevity, but a huge factor to vitality. It just zaps your energy, just moving so much extra weight. Like I mean, if I've got a 15-pound dumbbell sitting over there, just carrying that 15-pound dumbbell around, you're exhausted. Like my arms are tired. I'm like, that's just 15 pounds. How many of us are 15 pounds overweight? I mean, and then just think about 20 pounds or 30 pounds overweight. I mean, like I said, my 15-pound dumbbell, I'm like exhausted by. So yeah, just how much that does. So, and again, some of you are just so inspiring in how much you're really getting the weight off, and it's just so cool, so cool to see what's happening with your health. And Aaliyah, you are definitely an inspiration. So thank you so much. So with regards to, let me get back to stretching and flexibility. Flexibility is absolutely key to vitality, long-term vitality, because as we age, we get more brittle. And you need to be able to bend but not break. Okay. So what happens? You hear about old people falling, and they break things. Yeah. It seems like a weird. Why do old people break all the time? Well, it's because they have no flexibility. Think of a toddler. They are the most flexible creatures humans on the planet, right? They can put their toes in their mouth, right? They are so remarkably flexible. They're bouncing and falling and bumping all over the place and no injuries whatsoever. It's flexibility. But as we age, because we're so brittle and we're so rigid, and so when we fall, things just snap. Maintaining flexibility is what keeps you from having those injuries, and it's incredible. So we don't do it, we're not aware of it, and I'm not going to get into it today, but there is if you can do stretching where you're not just like going through the motions and let me just get through this to move on to the next thing that I actually want to do. If you can get to the point where you are allowing stretching to be like an awareness exercise, like because so many times we become disconnected to areas that have been injured. This is a very real thing in neurology. It's called proprioception. A joint that has been injured, the nerves around it have been injured. We have start to lack the ability for our brains to find that joint and where it is in space. Interesting phenomenon. We definitely see it. Most of you have had a surgery, because like when they do surgeries, they cut a lot of nerve endings in the process of the surgery, and that whole area is like numb. And it's just weird how things just don't feel right. You feel very disconnected from these different joints. We see this with people who roll their ankles all the time. There's just a lot of fraying. And those ankles just keep rolling. They keep rolling. And how we are able to strengthen that back up is proprioception, to recreate that awareness, to connect the brain's neurological communication between your nervous system and that particular joint. So stretching does this. So, going through and just really understanding, okay, where am I, where am I experiencing these different, you know, less than ideal ranges of motion? Okay. And if you just create that awareness and you can start to work with it. Let me just tell you again, members, if you're having a very specific area that you're wanting to work on, please let's bring that up. Let's talk about it during office hours, because I'm going to tell you, like, it's an area I know a lot about, and it's really exciting when you start to get those different joints back. I keep going to shoulders. Shoulders are so key to maintaining independence. You would think like knees or back or whatever, but no, it's really the shoulders, being able to reach things, being able to reach behind you, being able just to take care of one's own self. When you don't have shoulders that are functioning, you can't even get out of a chair. I had a dear friend, very, very fit, but he was in a car accident, injured both shoulders at the same time, and had to get bilateral shoulder surgery. He had to get one of those chairs that lifted him out because he couldn't even get himself from a seated position without his shoulders. So, just keeping those going. And we've been talking a lot, so much, about creating awareness and being connected to the different, to our own bodies. And I know that sounds like woo woo and kind of weird, but it's actually neurological. It's literally making sure your brain can find every part of your body so it can protect you, as you're moving, and you will have that confidence. You'll have that confidence with your body. You'll have that confidence with your physiology if you have these reconnections. Um, and let me just say, and flexibility just feels so good. It really does. Feels so good. And especially as you're doing the strength training, you need to then balance it with the flexibility training. I will say, women, we have to pay attention to this, but men especially. Men, you guys are notorious becoming very, very inflexible. So that's the basic message for today. And here's one of the things I want to encourage you all. We have, like, a lot of us who are getting into again, getting into some of our years of our 40s or 50s or 60s or 70s, and our 80s. But especially a lot of the people I'm talking to here, you're between 40 and probably 75. That's the age range where most of you are sitting. There's a lot of us who, it's not just us. It's not just us who needs to get strong. It's our partners, it's our friends, it's our siblings. And let me just tell you, this is so much fun to do. This is so much, let me just say, so much more fun to do when you're doing it with people that you care about. And it's not just you getting strong, it's them getting strong. And you're starting to do incredible things together. I would love for some of you to be talking about how now you're going on these amazing hikes with these people that you care about, these your loved ones. I would love to hear how you're kayaking and you're getting out into the great outdoors. I'm a huge fan of nature, and especially, I know it's winter, but finding those things that you can be doing together that are so therapeutic. Pickleball makes the list. I'm not going to knock on pickleball, but we need something just a little bit more. I mean, I've seen too many people. Like, you got to get a really good active game of pickleball going. I see too many people who can literally just stand there and not move, like really, really active. But I'm going to tell you, you find your thing, find your happy place. Share this, and really start. Can you have these conversations as you guys are going for these walks together? You're doing your loops in the park. What kind of legacy are you leaving? Ask these questions. Let's have these conversations, because without them, what's the point? I mean, what are we here for? Let's do something. And our health really needs to be kind of like just the foundation. This is not the whole point. Health is the foundation for all these great things that you can and want to be doing. I know talk to so many of you. You're out like you're doing incredible mission work and you're traveling across the globe, helping people who can't help themselves. What a legacy. But you can't do that when you're too tired. You can't do that when you don't feel good. You can't do that when your joints aren't keeping up with you. So please, 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 again, just share this message. Not it doesn't have to be this video, but share this message with the people that you care about because they are with even if they're being a little negative, even if they're being a little pessimistic, even if they're this is what they want to deep down we all know. And let me tell you, look, if you have all these people, you're like, oh, I can't share this with my family. My family, the people around me, they're just not into it. Well, how about let's just be the testimony. Just walk it. You don't have to speak it. Just walk it. Be the living example because that's what truly inspires people anyway. That's what makes all the difference in the world. I don't care what you say. What you do? We they say more is caught than taught. What are you showing? And with your with your children and your grandchildren, I mean, who wants to take health advice from the person who's always over there complaining, talking about how she has no energy, she doesn't feel good? Who wants to hear health advice from that person? But who do we want to hear it from? I want to hear from the person who's out there doing some incredible things, taking selfies, doing awesome amazingness. And so, and again, please, if you're, please do share. And if you haven't already, I can encourage you to subscribe. We're going to be getting a lot more into this kind of content. And if you're somebody who does need more individualized help, I can't encourage you enough to act now with regards to reaching out to people like myself, people, other people who are doing this kind of work. We're getting few and far between. I was just telling my members, so many of my cohorts, they're just retiring. They're just not going to keep doing this. Um, but those of us who are staying in, we're fighting the good fight, and but you got to find us early because those frankly are so most of them aren't even accepting any new patients to work one-on-one with anymore. So when you can find those of us who still have open acceptance and open enrollment, you got to act now. And so just going to encourage you, you can visit my website, GoodDoctors.Health, GoodDoctors.Health. You can get a free 15-minute consultation, find out if this is what's right for you. But most importantly, and really a lot of you on here who are part of that community already, I really hope that we start having more of these amazing, very, very real conversations because this is this is the life that I am aspiring for you. So thank you all so much.